Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome back to another live stream on the channel. Finally, some more Leicester City transfer news. Today, we have, in fact, got a deal agreed / confirmed, a loan deal for Brighton's Facundo Buonanotte, which is obviously an interesting one. Came out of absolutely nowhere once again, but it looks like Leicester City have finally got a player to come in and kind of fill that void of that, attacking player who can make things happen in that number 10 spot in behind the striker. So we'll get into that as well. Obviously, there's been some talks around Steven Bergwijn as well. We'll get into that. Some talks around Sam Johnson as well, which I'm not too sure why we're interested in him, but we'll get into that as well. Obviously, Harry Souttar's officially left Leicester and gone to Sheffield United on loan as well, so that potentially opens up a spot at centre back, and some other little rumours as well, some updates on Reece Nelson and Fabio Carvalho as well. So, yeah, lots to get into tonight. As always, make sure to get involved in the chat, drop a like on the stream, all of that good stuff. Obviously, I keep saying it, we're about 10 subscribers away from 4K, so if you can get that by the start of the season, that would be massively appreciated. But yeah, Caleb, first man in it tonight. Hopefully, you boys are all doing all right. Good to see you lot in here. But anyway, let's get into it then. This is going to be the main point of tonight's stream. Obviously, Leicester City have agreed agreed to sign. Obviously, it's only a loan deal for Brighton's Facundo Buonanotte, the Argentinian, which is, for me, I think it's quite an exciting prospect. Obviously, he's still quite young, but he's got Premier League experience. He's played for Argentina, the men's team, the official one. So, if you're going to be playing for them, you've got to be fairly decent as well. So, yeah, but in my opinion, look, it's a player who can come in, he can play that number 10 role, which we've been crying out for over these past couple of weeks. And everyone in the chat said it. We need to get someone in midfield who can create, and this could potentially be it. In terms of Fabio Carvalho, I don't know if that writes the deal off, because the Athletic put a tweet out the other day. They kind of worded it in a confusing way, which we'll get onto later. But I still think Leicester could potentially go for Fabio Carvalho as well, potentially not Reece Nelson. But yeah, obviously, Fabrizio says Feyenoord are interested. Leicester were working in the background to get the deal with Brighton over the line. Sadly, there'll be a loan with no option to buy clause, as Tom Colomos reports. So yeah, I'm not really surprised by that one. He's a big talent. I don't think Brighton are going to want him I don't think Brighton will let him go on opponent to a Premier League rival. But yeah, exciting signing. We are kind of progressing a Brighton youth player, but then again, that's the situation Leicester are in, and I'm not going to say no to a good attacking talent like Buonanotte, but obviously he's still quite raw. It is a bit of a risk, but I think it's all good getting in young players who have, he has shown it in the Premier League that he can do it, and we'll get into his analysis a little bit later. Welcome to the stream. Let me know your thoughts, boys, on Buonanotte in the chat. We'll get into it in a bit more detail in a second in terms of his position. He can play off the right hand side, but I think Leicester are signing him to play in that number 10 spot. I'm having an awful hair day, so it's flat as a pancake. But anyway, besides the point. I mean, I don't mind falling in love with another lone player. That's true if he turns out to be another Lookman. Yeah, potentially. I think this guy's going to be a real talent going forward. He's still very young. He's done well for Brighton. According to some Brighton fans last season, some of his stats, are quite low compared to what he should have in terms of assists. I did watch him a couple of times last season as well. He's very exciting, runs at people. That typical the Argentinian about him. It's a South American player as well. Hopefully, he can do slightly better than Tete, although that's not too hard, is it? But yeah, I think this one could be quite an exciting one. But yes, as far as I'm aware, the deal's done, and it shouldn't take too long to get processed and announced by Leicester officially, because obviously it's only a loan deal. So hopefully we can get him in over the next couple of days and maybe be ready for that first game against Tottenham, which obviously isn't too long away now. But anyway, let's get into some of his stats then. Before that, let's have a look at his brief history as a player. Obviously, he's currently at Brighton. As we know, he's left-footed, 19 years old as well, same age as me, which is ridiculous. Mainly plays on in that number 10 spot, but he can do a job on the right, so that's always a positive to have some flexibility as well. In terms of his career, obviously he was at Rosario in Argentina, and then obviously Brighton picked him up for 9 million or 6 million, I think, here. And obviously he's doing quite well, so it's another good pickup from Brighton, and he looks to be a very decent player. His market value obviously is quite high at around 18 million, so that potentially could be too much for Leicester. But yeah, obviously it says here Feyenoord are interested, but looks like Leicester have picked them. In terms of Argentina, he's played for them 2 games. Obviously, he's been involved in their academies and whatnot, the obviously under 21s, etc. So yeah, quality stuff. We'll get into his stats in a minute. Does he play as a midfielder? He does indeed. Solomon rumours. Yeah, I've seen all that on Twitter. So obviously, I'm not going to get into that. The player himself, I don't think he's bad, but I think there's better out there. And in terms of the political stuff, I think it probably could cause a bit of issue. So I don't know. I don't think it would happen anyway. But yeah, we'll have to see on that. Can we get KDB? I wish we could, yeah. Tom, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing all right, mate. Good to see you in here. Anyway, let's get into some of his, more of the analysis, because obviously he's still a fairly unknown player. So I took this from LCFC Data, so shout out to them on Twitter. We'll get into some of his more game screenshots in a minute. So in terms of his last season for Brighton, 27 appearances, which is quite strong for a 19-year-old. Then if you look at the minutes, obviously quite a lot of them are from the bench, which is as expected at a team like Brighton, who, to be fair, did do fantastically well, but are pushing. Obviously, they're in Europe last season as well. Just to 3 goals and 1 assist, 9 shots on target. I've spoken to some Brighton fans and I've seen it on Twitter themselves. They've said he should have got a lot more assists in terms of strikers missing their chances. So he'll I think he'll be used to that at Leicester with Patson Daka up top, but. Yeah, I think his stats. It's not everything, but I think it's positive to see. 3 goals isn't too bad, but if he can, pop up with, let's say 5, 6 goals for Leicester, maybe this season, if he plays, let's say every single game, which he probably won't, but I think if he can get some goal contribution, it's always going to be a positive. And he's coming into a side which is going to be down there, so he's going to have to fight. He's good on the ball. He's good at taking people on, and at times that's probably what Leicester will need next season, just for someone to just push us forward themselves, instead of it being kind of like a team game. Because at times we are going to need individual moments to get us over the line in some games. You're looking at people like Steffi Mabadidi, Fatswu, etc. to do that type of thing. But yeah, let's get into some of his stuff then. So this was his first season at Brighton. As you can see from this graphic here, he's mainly on the right hand side. Like I said already, I don't think he'll play there for Leicester, but it's more suited for this 10 role when he played there a little bit last season as well. We'll move that, it's too complicated. In terms of his pass map, obviously, as you can see, it's all over the shop, really. Quite typical of being, an attacking player for a fairly decent side. Obviously, for Brighton, as you can see, in this role around here, he comes centrally with runners in behind, and that's what Leicester will be playing like next season. So, you could imagine him in that 10. You got Steffi, Abdul up wide if they play there. Their runs in behind. You potentially got Daka in behind as well for you starting as well. So I think this guy could be, perfect for us, just, to get on the ball, make things happen, and kind of play that Maddison role of a few seasons ago. Obviously, I don't think he'd be as good as Maddison, but that type of position. Obviously, in this case, he comes in from that right hand side. So yeah, he's quite flexible over that front line, and in his first season at Brighton as well, he did quite well as well. And I think this is the key bit as well. Just like I said, it's penetrating carries. I'm sounding like a stat nerd here, but it is true. In terms of his ball possession and the ability to take people on and run at the opposition. Because I don't really think Leicester have that centrally right now. We obviously have that out wide with Steffi and Abdul to run at people, but in terms of a player who's going to take people on in the midfield park and progresses forward themselves, I don't think we currently have that. Dewsbury did that slightly. It was more on the half turn and being smart about it. But I think in terms of Buonanotte, he's more of that type of player to run at someone and just brush them aside and then make things happen after that. So for me, I think this would be a fantastic signing. I think he's a very, very, very good player. And yeah, it'd be interesting how Cooper could use him, because from all these screenshots, he's always on that right hand side, and you can see his shots coming from the middle as well. 10 shots, 1 goal wasn't awful, but yeah, that's a bit on his stats then from Facundo Buonanotte. Who saw that one coming? Not me. But yeah, I think we should probably just ignore every single transfer rumor right now and just look at Fabrizio when he decides to post something, because it's just absolute random stuff at the minute. Let's get back into the chat. Do I think Cooper will play 5 at the back? I know I said he would a few weeks ago, but I don't think he will now, to be fair. I think it would just be a 4-3-3. I think we could see like a back 5 or a back 3 against the top 6 when he play Man City, Arsenal, etc. Just to be that a bit more defensive. And we even saw Brendan do that at times against Man City, and sometimes it did work, or at least it made it very difficult for teams like Man City to break us down. So I think definitely. But I think but the vast majority, I could see it being a 4-3-3. But I think we'll get a better idea on Saturday in that final pre-season game, which is going to be a good indication of where Leicester are really at. Chelsea have spent 60 to 80 million alone. Yeah, obviously they've sold Gallagher and whatnot as well, haven't they? Yeah, we do, and that's why I still think we could be going for someone like Fabio Carvalho. Although if we're getting Buonanotte and Carvalho, I think that could be a bit of a stretch as well. But yeah, I think Carvalho still could be an option, despite a tweet posted the other day. But I'll get into that in a minute because it's worded interestingly. This kid going to be first choice, I think so. Yeah, let's get the old player back. If we get Madison back, I'd love it. Yeah. So a new album is left to check that out. I've been busy today. I reckon we'll sell Hermanson. Yeah, I've seen tweets about that saying that Leicester, kind of expected sales so we could, reinvest that on some of the targets we're interested in. I think if we sell Hermanson, that would just be stupid. Like, I think that would just guarantee. I think it would guarantee relegation really, because you can't be testing around with new keepers, and that's part of the reason why Leicester got relegated anyway. And obviously, we've been linked to Sam Johnston from David Ornstein, which does worry me a little bit. But I haven't seen anyone else interested in Mads. Obviously, we were a bit worried a few weeks ago when Chelsea were in for him. Obviously, they've got a different keeper now, so that one's done. So I can't really see it. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else on Buonanotte. Don't think there is in terms of his stats and whatnot. But so yeah, we'll get into well, we've discussed him enough, I think, in terms of his stats and whatnot. I don't want to bore you guys, but in terms of the deal itself, I think this one will get announced quite quickly. Leicester clearly want to get stuff done. Cooper will want to get in the door potentially next couple of days, and then get him a full week's training ahead of that game against Tottenham on the Monday night. Obviously, Leicester do have a few more days than the rest of the Premier League to prepare for that one, which is always going to be a positive. But yeah, I think there's going to be lots of stuff happening this next week. So yeah, lots of videos on the way. Anyway, next up then, the man in the thumbnail, Steven Bergwijn, which is really weird. I didn't really see this one coming. I don't really know why too many people say no to this. Like, yes, when he was at Tottenham, he didn't do too much apart from score 2 goals in about 10 seconds against us. But I just think he's a good player, isn't he? Obviously Leicester were linked with him before Tottenham got him. In fact, when Leicester were obviously fighting for Champions League, he went back to Netherlands to Ajax, and he's done fairly well, despite obviously Ajax being pretty poor the last couple of years. But for me, I think this would be someone who's got decent experience. He's played in big matches. Yeah, it's slight risk, I think, in terms of the price tag, but I don't think you can really say no to someone like this. Really, it's weird, really, to me. I just think he's got experience. He's a big name. Yes, he's not done too much, but I think so if you can find the right club, I think this guy can do wonders, really. Because look, there's a clear reason why Tottenham, Ajax have had him. He's done well at Eindhoven. Yeah, for me, I think this would be another good piece of business, but it all depends on the price tag, really. I've seen people saying about 20 million, which I think is not too bad for someone like him. But is it at the top of Leicester's priority list? No. Would I rather spend 20 million on the midfielder? Yes. But I don't think you can really say no to more backup options, because the more players we have who can play in that first team, the better. Because I think the first team right now, the starting 11 isn't too bad, but then when you start to see injuries and players suspended and whatnot, it does look a little bit open. So we definitely need some reinforcements, and yeah. But it's one to look on. Obviously, Interest FC at it again, but Fabrizio has said it, so there's obviously some truth behind it. But yeah. That won't stop them. New keeper, 20 million bought today. Yeah, to be fair, you're not wrong. 26, yeah, that's what I mean. He's still quite young. I think when he signed for Tottenham, he was very raw, and that's why I don't think he did too well. Obviously, he was there for quite a while, did that against us. Scored in his first game against Man City, though, if you remember that one. Could Bergwijn not play Cat? Yeah, potentially. Yeah, potentially. Obviously, if Leicester are going for Buonanotte, who I obviously said can play on the right, that could be he could be reversed. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on his role if he did join us. But yeah, obviously, I've got another report around Bergwijn, if I can just get it. So yeah. Don't know why it says return to Leicester City, because it was never here. But anyway, Steven Bergwijn could join Leicester if they can reach an agreement with Ajax, obviously, for a transfer fee up to 20 million euros. Though Ajax would demand more. The Ajax forward is now Leicester City's #1 priority. Now, I believe this is a Dutch outlet. Looks like the Telegraph Dutch edition, I think anyway. But number one target does seem, or priority does seem a bit random, but 20 million euros. Obviously, it says here that Ajax could demand more. So let's just say 25 million to go, ish. Is it? I don't know. It's not too bad, but I don't really know how much money we have because it's very unknown. Like, obviously, Leicester put in these supposedly bids for Matthias Sule with about 30 million, but I don't know if they're completely true because by the sounds of it, we barely have anything. And I think the more it goes on, the more I think that Leicester are planning on sales, which haven't arrived, and that's been the case the last couple of seasons. And yet again, we're just not learning from our mistakes at all in terms of the finances. I think Leicester are probably, well, Rudkin and the leadership team were expecting the sales of people like Samari, Christensen maybe, but now I think Cooper potentially does rate them. So I haven't seen too much. I did see something today about Galatasaray being interested in Christensen, but the Turkish club seems to get linked with everybody at least once a window, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that one. But yeah, I think there's still going to be. I think in terms of Leicester's business, it's going to go all the way through until the end of the month. Really, obviously, it ends last day of August, I assume, as always. So yeah, I think the team is going to change a lot in the first three games. Obviously, there's only three before the international break, which is obviously Tottenham, Fulham, and Aston Villa. So I think them three games is going to be quite interesting in terms of who starts, and after that, it's going to be much more settled when we return against Palace. I think it is away from home. Return to Hall. Yeah, to be fair, yeah. That's not to be quite that one, despite the fact he got me a lot of views. Cheers, boys. Footballer's Room, yeah, definitely. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing all right. I'll be happy if someone gave me 20 quid randomly, let alone 25. Yeah, I think I'll take that right now as well. Where is the Lens game being played at? I believe, yes, it's in the Lens, I think it is, at their stadium. I was going to go, but travel was a bit spenny for a pre-season game, so I thought I'd leave it. But anyway, let's look at let's just see what Bergwijn's done at Ajax, really. Because obviously, like I mentioned, he's gone there and not done too bad. Obviously, before that, he was at Eindhoven. Obviously, got that move to Tottenham and went back to Holland this time for Ajax, where 76 games, 29 goals, 11 assists, which isn't too bad in my opinion. For a winger, if you compare that to Tottenham, obviously he had 83 games, 8 goals and 9 assists. So obviously not as good. Obviously the Dutch league is nowhere near the quality of the Premier League as well. If you look at his output for Eindhoven, 149 games, bearing in mind he was there for obviously throughout his youth days, obviously with them for the under-19s, etc. 31 goals, 41 assists as well. So it's not too bad output. In terms of winger, if you look at his total, 86 and 68. So yeah, I don't think it's too bad. And for me, I just think if Leicester have the money, just do it because we just need as many players as we can have really at at an elite standard. And I think Bergwijn is exactly that. I don't think he's going to set the world alight. I don't think I'm not saying he's incredible. I don't think he's Mahrez or anybody, but I think for someone to come in who's got experience, who can battle for places, who can start games, who can score big goals for us in big moments, I think he could be a tidy bit of business for Leicester. So yeah, I'm not too sure what I've seen people on Twitter saying no, really, because I think it would be pretty decent. So we came back for an open training session to fly back over to front, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know why Leicester spent a week in Germany because we have this 100 million, state of the art training facility, and we're out in Germany training at a 7th division German club doing gym works on concrete on a mat. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, it's all well and good going out to Evian in France for a week or so, but I didn't really understand the point of going to Germany for that. Yes, it's all about team bonding or whatnot, but when you've paid for that training ground and when you can get the most out of it in pre-season, you might as well do it. I just don't really understand it too much. But anyway, I guess that is a Leicester City way. Leicester Fox, how are we doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about him. Haven't seen too many links, but then again, I wouldn't be, too disinterested in it really, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about strikers in terms of Datro Fofana. Obviously, we discussed that last stream. I think Leicester are still weighing up their options in terms of another striker. If Leicester wanted to get that deal done, it could be done quite quickly. So that could be potential as well. But we could see some more news on the striker in the next couple of days. I think that one's still up in the air a bit. But then again, Leicester need to be quick on it and try and get somebody in, because obviously we are crying out for a striker. Now let's get on to the tweet about Fabio Carvalho, because obviously last stream the news broke pretty much half an hour before I went live, so I was kind of rushing. So this is from The Athletic. Now the way this is worded confuses me, because Leicester won't be able to sign Arsenal's Reece Nelson and Liverpool's Fabio Carvalho due to the club's asking price. Now, the way I see that, it means Leicester can't sign both of them. It did for me. I still think we could potentially be able to sign Reece Nelson or Carvalho, but it's probably more likely to be Fabio Carvalho. Obviously, that's from The Athletic, just like I said, which is obviously a very credible source in terms of football journalism. So yeah, I still think this has potential. I think, the price tag for someone like Carvalho is going to be quite high. And that's what I mean. If you got 20 million, I'd rather Leicester spend it on someone like Carvalho than Bergwijn. But if we can't get Carvalho, I'd be more than happy for us to spend the 20 million on someone like Bergwijn. But obviously, we discussed Carvalho a lot in the last stream, so make sure to check that out. I think everyone in there will know quite a lot about Fabio Carvalho. Obviously, he was on loan at Hull City last season, did very well, some great output. He's at number 10 as well. Obviously, if Leicester can get Buonanotte and Carvalho in, I think that'll be some fantastic business. This one will obviously be on a permanent, despite Buonanotte being on a loan. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. It depends, obviously, if Arne Slot wants him to go. He's been heavily involved in pre-season, but Southampton obviously had a bid rejected for him the other day for 15 million. So it's going to be around that fee, potentially going up to about 20. So, yeah, let's get back into the chat. Any truth in the Solomon rumour? I really hope not. I don't think there's too much truth about it, really. It's not from the most credible sources, so I wouldn't really, look at it in too much depth. I think, if Leicester are going to go for a winger, it's probably going to be someone like Bergwijn at the minute, but we'll have to wait and see. Good evening, though. Yeah, good to see you. Think we need a striker? Yeah, 100%. I think a cam is our biggest priority, but then it is a striker, 100%. And I think that's the way Leicester are working as of right now. Hopefully Vardy can be back, but then again, look, he's not going to be there every single game. We've already seen that, and the season hasn't even started yet. So we can't rely upon him, and that's probably the reason why Tom Cannon hasn't gone out on loan, because we're waiting for someone to come in and be that striker option and potentially to be leading the line next season. The one from the academy, yeah. I've seen a few people talking about someone else. I think he's from Brazil. But we'll have to wait and see. Fabio will be a good signing if we get him 100%. Datro no longer coming. No, but Leicester are the tweet the thing I saw is that Leicester are weighing their options up. So I believe that the deal for Fofana could be done quite quickly and simple, and Leicester will be able to get him in. But I think Leicester are weighing up different options. Potentially they prefer someone else or don't like something they see in Datro Fofana, so potentially going for a different striker. But I think it could still definitely happen. But I think Leicester potentially do want to go for somebody else. Who that is, I don't know. Hopefully we can see some links around that. I mean, Vardy has got a knock, and Daka, I don't like him one bit. Agreed. So yeah, and exactly that, and that's Leicester's problem right now. We need a striker. We can't rely on these players who have. Daka last season wasn't great. Tom Cannon's got no Premier League experience, and Vardy's going to get injured. That's the harsh reality of it. Anyway, just as we wanted to get a striker, we now wanted to get another goalkeeper. But yeah, no, this one's a very interesting one. This is from David Ornstein. Now, if this was from anybody else apart from Fabrizio, I'd probably just ignore it. But I don't really know why we're interested in Sam Johnston, and this is why I'm slightly worried about Hermanson. But then again, I don't think he'll go. So, is this a backup option? But he's backup for Crystal Palace, who wants to leave them to come back up at Leicester. Doesn't really make sense to me. So, yeah, I don't really get that one. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's an awful keeper, to be perfectly honest, but I prefer us to have Mads in goal. But yeah, it does puzzle me as well. In terms of the tweet itself, the original one, there was multiple teams interesting, like Brentford, Wolves, I think. So he's probably more likely to go there. But the interest itself does confuse me quite a lot. I just don't really get where the priorities are at this football club right now. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see upon that one. Obviously, in terms of the goalkeeper situations, obviously Stolarczyk's out, which is a shame. Iverson could potentially be going, which could that could be in terms of this transfer. That's probably why. I've seen something there that Cooper doesn't want Danny Ward to be the second choice. This could potentially be the reason in Sam Johnston, but I don't think he's going to want to move from backup at Palace to back up to Leicester. For me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't think he's a bad keeper. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it would be quite stupid to have two good goalkeepers when he could have one and one not so good in terms of backup. But yeah, priorities. Yeah. We have enough goalkeepers right now, potentially. We'll have to wait and see what happens to Daniel Iverson, but he doesn't look like he's going to anywhere anytime soon. Where do we go down? Don't like that. Hermanson and Fatsfield goes about 80 million, which is enough to build a good championship team. Potentially. But yeah, if Leicester did go down, their value would plummet quite low, which is maybe why Leicester are looking to move Hermanson on potentially, but I don't think it would happen. Just before we wrap up, I'm going to have a quick look on Twitter just to see if there is any more breaking news. Obviously, the last couple of days have been very busy in terms of transfer news at Leicester. So let's have a little quick look. I don't think there is any. But yeah, we're just waiting, obviously, on updates. Obviously, it was Jakob Moder a few months ago for Diesbro, and now it could be Buonanotte. So I think that's a slight upgrade from Leicester. But yeah, in terms of that, that's pretty much all the latest news. We are interested in Oliver Skip, but obviously that's been talked about for the last couple of months. So I won't read anything into that one. I was going to quickly get up the Datra Fofana thing, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. I think that would be something good to discuss once again. In terms of that striker, so this is obviously from the Athletic. So yeah, this is what I mean. I think Leicester could potentially be going for someone else. So yeah, Leicester City are weighing up other potential options for David Datro Fofana. So yeah, to me, this reads like Leicester are not too keen on him, but want to get a different striker, and it's a deal which could happen. So yeah, this could potentially be like a backup option, a kind of last resort. They've done the groundwork on it, and if Leicester want to progress with this deal, they can do so quite quickly. It's probably not the nicest of things for players, and if I was Datro Fofana, I'd probably be like, oh, I'll just move on to someone else if they don't want me. But yeah, I think it'd be a decent signing for Leicester. Is he? He's not got the most Premier League experience, but just like I said, we're just crying that for anybody right now. So yeah, I wouldn't really be against it. And we are reaching the point of the window where Leicester just need to get people into the squad. I think we started the season off quite well in terms of transfers, and it's just fallen off a cliff in the last couple of weeks. But it has been positive. This last 5 days or so, we've seen more than just interest. We've seen deals getting done this morning for Buonanotte. We are starting to get linked with some better players as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think all of these rumours, I know I'm going through them all, but I'll just take them all with a pinch of salt right now, because the only time stuff gets done is a random one from Fabrizio one morning, or Tom Collins yesterday saying that Leicester have agreed a deal to sign Buonanotte. It's just stuff like that. We saw it with Cody. Leicester interested, half an hour later, deal done, here we go, etc. Contract, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that was the same with Decordova Reid as well. So yeah, it's been a very weird transfer window in terms of the rumours, but I still think Leicester will be looking to bring in another 3 to 4 players. I just really hope we can get at least 2 more in before that Tottenham game, because right now I just don't think we're ready at all for that Tottenham game. And if Tottenham are on it, it could be an embarrassing way to start off the season. I don't want to be negative, but that's just the way I see things right now in terms of the squad. Danny Ings, no thanks. The Fofana I haven't seen. No, yeah, it's one of them. It's quite unproven, but he could work out. He could not. It's a risky one. And do you want to take a risk on a striker? Probably not. So yeah, I wouldn't be too disheartened if Leicester didn't go for him. That's why we're hesitant. Yeah, that's the thing. If it works out to be good, it could be good. It could be a good deal, but it's just a bit it's a bit risky for me, in my opinion. And just like I said, can you really afford to take a risk on a striker in your first season back in the Prem? Don't think so. Have you heard anything about the point deduction? Not absolutely nothing for the past couple of months. So we're just waiting to see upon that one. I don't think it's going to get any better. It's probably going to be about 8 points in my opinion. I think that's my prediction for it. But yeah, just if that comes, it comes in it. So can't really do anything about it now. Got a chunk of the potential. Yeah, exactly. It's the same type of things. And just like I said, if Leicester can get, ideally, I'd want Leicester to get a striker in on loan with an obligation to buy. then potentially invest in someone else in midfield, because I think the striker situation's risky, because the last couple of years, and it's always the same for football teams. You buy a striker, and it's very hard to find someone who's worth it and does well. We've seen it at Leicester multiple times over the past couple of years. So yeah, we need washed up free agents. Probably do, to be fair. That's one way to do it, if to comply with FFP in it. But yeah, that Weghorst, that's gone against Trent. Is he? I think Weghorst has gone to someone else, hasn't he? Now, don't know. She's gone very quiet on that front. But yeah. Anyway, boys, I think we've pretty much gone through everything. Massive thanks for everyone in the chat tonight. It's massively appreciated. Make sure to go and drop a like. As I always say, it massively helps share the channel out to other Leicester City fans. Like I always say, subscribe if you haven't already. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers. So if you can reach that before Tottenham, we will win that first game. You heard it here first. Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're watching this back on playback. And hopefully I'll see you boys in another couple of days where we potentially have a new signing, a here we go maybe, or just some, something a bit more closer. But finally, we are starting to see some good rumours come through. So fingers crossed, Interested FC can turn into here we go, done deal FC. See you later, boys.